spiritual awakening, the chosen one's path to escape the Matrix. Have you ever walked through a crowded street, looked at the faces of the people rushing by, and felt a sudden, overwhelming sense of isolation? It is not the loneliness of having no one. It is the profound, aching loneliness of not belonging to this place. You look at the world around you, the traffic, the neon lights, the endless cycle of working, consuming, and sleeping, and it feels thin. It feels artificial, like a stage set that hasn't been painted quite right. For a split second, the noise of the city fades out, and you hear a whisper in the back of your mind, a quiet voice that says, "This isn't real. None of this is what they say it is." Most people push that voice away. They drown it out with music, with scrolling, with work, with drama. They are terrified of that silence. But you didn't push it away. You held on to it. You nurtured it. And that is why you are here, listening to this right now. If you have felt this separation your entire life, if you have felt like a black sheep in your family, or an observer in your own life, I need you to understand something very important. You are not crazy, you are not depressed, and you are certainly not broken. What you are feeling is a glitch. It is a crack in the programming. It is the first undeniable sign of a spiritual awakening. The universe is knocking on the door of your consciousness, trying to wake you up from a dream that you have been dreaming for thousands of years. They call people like you the chosen ones, not because you are special in an egoic sense or better than anyone else, but because you are the ones who have chosen on a soul level to wake up first. You are the system busters. You are the glitch in the Matrix code. Think about your life. Think about the patterns that keep repeating, the same struggles, the same types of relationships, the same emotional loops. Have you noticed that no matter how hard you try to fix things on the outside, the script seems to rewrite itself to bring you back to the same point? That is because this reality is not what you think it is. We have been taught that the world is solid, that it is physical, that it is fixed. We are taught that we are small, insignificant biological machines born to survive, reproduce, and die. But what if that was the lie? What if the science, the physics, and the ancient texts are all pointing to a completely different truth? The truth is, you are living in a simulation, a construct, a holographic projection of light and information. And for the vast majority of the population, this simulation is a prison of the mind. They live on autopilot, reacting to the code, feeling what they are told to feel, fearing what they are told to fear. They are the sleeping majority. But you have started to see the strings. You have started to notice the synchronicities, the repeating numbers like 1111, the thoughts that manifest instantly, the feeling that time is collapsing. These are not coincidences. They are road signs. They are messages from your higher self telling you that the operating system is ready for an upgrade. In the next hour, we are going to go on a journey that might shatter everything you thought you knew about reality. We are going to leave behind the superstition and look at the hard science. We are going to explore quantum physics, the mysteries of DNA, and the hidden mechanics of your subconscious mind. We are not just going to talk about the Matrix. We are going to hand you the keys to the exit door. But be warned, once you see the truth, you cannot unsee it. Once you realize that you are not the character on the screen, but the player holding the controller, you can never go back to being an NPC again. You can never go back to sleep. So take a deep breath. Clear your mind. The download is about to begin. Welcome to the Matrix 963. Welcome to your awakening. Chapter 1. The Download. Let's begin with a phenomenon that every single one of us has experienced, yet almost no one truly understands. Have you ever wondered why your best ideas never come to you when you are sitting at a desk, straining your brain, trying to force a solution? Instead, they come when you least expect them. You are standing in the shower, watching the water hit the floor, or you are driving your car down a long, empty highway at night, or you are drifting in that twilight space between being awake and falling asleep. Suddenly, out of nowhere, it hits you. A flash of brilliance, a complete idea, a melody, a solution to a problem that has plagued you for months. It arrives fully formed, perfect, and crystal clear. It doesn't feel like something you constructed step by step. It feels like a package that was dropped onto your doorstep. We call this inspiration. But have you ever stopped to ask where it actually comes from? Society and the traditional education system has conditioned us to believe that the human brain is a factory. They teach us that the brain creates thoughts, just like a generator creates electricity. They tell you that your memories, your imagination, and your genius are all stored inside the gray matter in your skull. But Nikola Tesla, perhaps the greatest mind to ever walk this earth, knew better. He said, "My brain is only a receiver. In the universe, there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration." Tesla was not speaking metaphorically. He was speaking literally. Your brain is not a generator. It is a biological radio. It is a transceiver, a transmitter, and a receiver. Think about your smartphone. When you stream a movie or download a song, is that movie inside your phone? No. The phone is just a device made of glass and metal. The movie exists as a frequency, as data floating in the invisible field of the Wi-Fi network. Your phone simply has the correct antenna and the correct password to pull that data from the ether and render it into an image on your screen. You are no different. The thoughts you think, the sudden epiphanies, the gut feelings, they are not originating in you. They are being downloaded through you. You are constantly connected to a vast, infinite field of information. The ancients called it the Akashic Records. Quantum physicists call it the quantum field or the zero-point field. It is the cloud storage of the universe where every idea, every invention, every song, and every possible version of your future already exists. So why don't we feel this connection all the time? Why do we feel stuck, blocked, and confused? The answer lies in frequency. Just like a radio, you have to be tuned to the right station to hear the music. If your dial is slightly off, all you hear is static. All you hear is noise. In our modern world, we are drowning in static. We are constantly in a state of high-stress beta waveforms. This is the frequency of survival. It is the frequency of fight or flight. When you are scrolling through social media, worrying about bills, arguing in your head, or rushing to work, your brain is firing rapidly. You are emitting a chaotic signal. And when your signal is chaotic, you cannot receive the high-frequency data from the universe. You are effectively disconnected from the network. This explains why those moments in the shower or during a long drive are so powerful. In those moments, you stop trying, you relax, you stop analyzing, and your brainwaves slow down. You shift from the jagged, stressful beta state into the smooth, rhythmic flow of alpha and theta states. Theta is the magic frequency. It is the borderline between the conscious and the subconscious worlds. It is the state of deep meditation, of hypnosis, and of vivid dreaming. When you enter theta, the static clears, the interference of the ego drops away, and suddenly your biological antenna is clean. That is when the download happens. That is when the universe sends you the file you requested. For the chosen ones, this sensitivity is even more acute. You likely feel overwhelmed in crowds, in loud places, or around negative people. You might think this is a weakness, that you are too fragile for this world. But it is not a weakness. It is a sign of high-performance hardware. You have a highly sensitive antenna. You pick up on frequencies that others miss. You feel the emotions of others, the tension in a room, the unspoken truths. The problem is, because you don't know how to shield your antenna, you are picking up all the garbage frequencies of the collective unconscious. You are picking up the fear, the anger, and the confusion of the sleeping masses, and you think it belongs to you. You think you are the anxious one. But the moment you realize that your mind is a receiver, everything changes. You stop identifying with every thought that passes through your head. You realize that just because a radio plays a sad song, it doesn't mean the radio is sad. It's just tuning in to a sad frequency. Your task, as you begin to wake up, is to learn how to touch the dial. It is to learn how to consciously shift your brainwaves out of the noise and into the silence. Because in that silence, the signal is always broadcasting. The guidance you are looking for, the purpose you are desperate to find, is already there. It has always been there. You just need to be quiet enough to hear it. Chapter 2. The Womb. Now that we understand the instrument, your mind, we must look at the environment. Where exactly are we? What is this world that feels so real, yet so limiting? We have all heard the term, the Matrix. It has become a pop culture buzzword, a meme, a movie reference. But this concept is thousands of years older than Hollywood, and the true meaning of the word has been hidden in plain sight. If you open an etymology dictionary and look up the origin of the word matrix, you will find it comes from the Latin word mater. Mater means mother. And in late Middle English, the word matrix specifically meant the womb. In the Bible, the phrase opening the matrix is used to describe birth. The matrix is the womb. It is the place where life is formed. Let that sink in for a moment. This changes everything. For years, conspiracy theorists and fearmongers have told you that the matrix is a prison. They told you it is a trap designed to harvest your energy, to keep you enslaved. to keep you suffering. It is a terrifying story, and it is easy to believe because life here is hard. It is full of struggle, pain, and limitation. But if we look at the ancient definition, the perspective shifts completely. A womb is not a prison. Yes, it is a confined space. Yes, it is dark. Yes, if you were a baby inside the womb, you might feel trapped. You cannot stretch your legs fully. You cannot see the world outside. You are bound by the walls of the mother. But is the womb designed to punish the baby? No. It is designed to incubate it. It is a protected environment designed to grow a complex organism until it is strong enough to survive in a much larger, much more expansive reality. You are not trapped in a prison planet. You are incubating in a spiritual womb. We are souls, beings of infinite light and limitless potential, who have agreed to enter this dense, heavy, slow-moving simulation. Why? Why would an infinite being choose to be limited? Why would a player choose to play a game on the hard difficulty setting? Because resistance creates growth. In the spirit realm, manifestation is instant. You think of a castle, and the castle appears. There is no time, no space, no friction. And because there is no friction, there is no muscle growth. There is no character development. Here, in the Matrix, the atmosphere is dense. To make something happen, you have to hold the vision. You have to overcome doubt. You have to take action. You have to persist. This struggle is not a bug in the system. It is the main feature. It is the gym for your consciousness. You are here to learn how to manipulate energy in a high-density environment. You are here to learn that you are the creator, even when the reflection in the mirror says otherwise. But the danger of the simulation is that it is too immersive. Imagine playing a virtual reality game. You put on the headset. The graphics are hyper-realistic. The sound is surround. You have a suit that lets you feel impact. You enter the game and you choose an avatar. This avatar has a name, a history, a set of strengths and weaknesses. At first, you know you are the player wearing the headset. You know it's just a game. But after playing for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, without ever taking the headset off, you begin to suffer from amnesia. You forget the player. You begin to believe with absolute certainty that you are the avatar. When the avatar gets hurt, you think you are dying. When the avatar loses money, you think you are destroyed. When the avatar is rejected, you feel the heartbreak. You have become lost in the role. You have become an NPC, a non-playable character in your own game. This is the state of humanity today. They are lost in the avatar. They are obsessed with the skin, the status, the bank account, the political labels. They are fighting over pixels on a screen, forgetting that they are the electricity powering the console. The moment of awakening, the moment you feel that glitch, is the moment you remember the headset. You don't leave the game. You don't die. You don't disappear. You simply realize, wait a minute, I am not this body. I am not this name. I am not this history of trauma. I am the consciousness experiencing it. This is what it means to be in the world, but not of it. When you understand this, the fear dissolves. Why would you fear a monster in a video game when you know you cannot die? Why would you fear taking a risk when you know it is just an experience point? The Matrix is not your enemy. It is your training ground. It is the mirror that reflects your own frequency back to you so you can see what you are projecting. But here is the catch. This game has rules. It has a physics engine. It has a code. And for centuries, we were told that the code was solid matter. Atoms, particles, rocks, and flesh. We were told the world is out there, separate from us. But modern science has now caught up to the ancient mystics. The physicists have looked deep into the heart of matter, expecting to find solid building blocks, but they didn't find solids. They found nothing. They found empty space. They found waves of probability. They found that the code of the Matrix is not written in stone. It is written in light. And the most terrifying, liberating discovery of all is that this light is waiting for you to look at it. To understand how you can rewrite the code of your reality, we must leave philosophy behind and look at the undeniable evidence of quantum physics. Because what happens when a particle knows it is being watched changes everything. Chapter 3: The Observer. If you want to escape the Matrix, you first have to understand what the Matrix is made of. And to do that, we have to look at the smallest building blocks of our reality. Over 100 years ago, a group of physicists performed an experiment that was supposed to be simple. It was called the double-slit experiment. They wanted to know if the tiny particles that make up our world, electrons, photons, the very stuff of atoms, acted like solid little marbles, or if they acted like waves of energy. They took a barrier with 2 vertical slits cut into it, and they fired particles at it, one by one. Behind the barrier was a back wall to record where the particles landed. If matter is solid, like we are told, the particles should have gone straight through the slits and formed 2 bands on the back wall, just like if you threw tennis balls through 2 open windows. But that is not what happened. Instead of 2 bands, they saw an interference pattern, a series of many bands. This is the pattern that water makes when waves crash into each other. It meant that the single particle was somehow going through both slits at the same time, interfering with itself and behaving like a ghost, a wave of potential, not a solid object. The scientists were baffled, so they decided to get clever. They placed a measuring device, a camera essentially, right next to the slits to see exactly which slit the particle was going through. They wanted to catch it in the act. And this is where the magic, or the horror, begins. The moment the camera was turned on, the moment the particle was observed, it stopped acting like a wave. It snapped back into behaving like a solid marble. It went through only one slit. The interference pattern disappeared. When they turned the camera off, it went back to being a wave. Let that sink in. The particle changed its behavior because it knew it was being watched. This is known as the observer effect, and it shattered the foundation of material science. It proved that the building blocks of your reality do not exist in a definite state until a consciousness looks at them. Before you look, the world is just a soup of infinite possibilities. It is a wave of maybe here, maybe there. It is a superposition. But the moment you focus your attention on it, you collapse the wave function. You force the energy to freeze into matter. You force the probability to become a certainty. What does this mean for you, the chosen one? It means you are not walking through a solid, unchangeable world. You are walking through a fluid field of energy that is constantly waiting for your command to take shape. The reality you see outside of you, your bank account, your relationships, your health, is just the collapsed wave of your past observations. You kept looking at it, kept expecting it to be the same, so it kept rendering as the same. You are the projector. The screen is the screen. If you don't like the movie, you don't scream at the screen. You don't try to physically move the pixels. You change the film in the projector. You change your observation. Most people are passive observers. They wake up, they look at their problems, and they say, "Oh, look, I have problems." By observing the problem with emotion, they collapse the wave of problem again for tomorrow. They are trapping themselves in a loop of their own creation. But you are learning to be an active observer. You are learning that if you withdraw your attention from what you hate and focus your laser-like consciousness on what you choose, the old reality must dissolve. It has no choice. It is the law of physics. The atom does not care if you are a good person or a bad person. It only cares about where you are looking. Chapter 4: The Antenna. So we know that consciousness shapes reality. But how does that signal actually get from your mind out into the universe? Do we just wish upon a star? No. You have a piece of hardware inside you that is more advanced than any supercomputer in Silicon Valley. It is twisted into a spiral, tucked inside the nucleus of every single cell in your body, your DNA. For decades, scientists told us that 97% of our DNA was junk DNA. They said it had no function, just leftover evolutionary garbage. They were wrong. They were arrogant. Russian biophysicists and researchers like Fritz Albert Popp have discovered that DNA is not just a biological instruction manual for building proteins. It is a biological internet. DNA is a superconductor that stores light. This is not a metaphor. Your cells actually emit light. They are called biophotons. These are ultra-weak photon emissions, but they are coherent, like a laser. Your DNA is constantly transmitting and receiving data through these light signals. It communicates with the other cells in your body instantly, and it communicates with the electromagnetic field outside of your body. Think of your DNA as a fractal antenna. An antenna can pick up many different frequencies depending on how it is tuned. When you are in a state of fear, anger, or stress, your DNA contracts. The antenna shortens. You only pick up the low-frequency broadcast, survival mode, danger, limitation. You are literally tuning your biological radio to the hell station. But when you are in a state of love, gratitude, or deep peace, the DNA strands unwind. They elongate. The antenna expands, and suddenly you can access high-frequency information. You can access intuition, telepathy, and the synchronicity of the universe. This brings us to the significance of frequency, and specifically 963 Hertz. You have seen this number on our channel. You have seen people obsessed with solfeggio frequencies. Is it just a trend? 963 Hertz is often called the frequency of the gods, or the frequency of the pineal gland activation. But in the context of the matrix, think of it as a factory reset code. The matrix programming, the noise, the EMF radiation, the negativity scrambles your natural signal. It detunes your DNA. You forget your connection to the source. Listening to 963 Hertz or meditating on this vibration helps to recalibrate the antenna. It helps to tune you back to the original broadcast of the universe. You are a walking tower of light. Every thought you think sends an electrical pulse to your brain, which sends a chemical signal to your body, which changes the shape of your DNA antenna, which then broadcasts a pattern of light into the quantum field. And the field replies. It sends back a reality that matches your signal. If you are broadcasting, "I am a victim," the field collapses the waves of victimhood around you. If you broadcast, "I am the creator," the field bends to your will. You don't need to learn how to manifest. You are manifesting every second of every day. You are a manifestation machine. The problem is, you have been manifesting unconsciously. You have been broadcasting a signal that was programmed into you by someone else. Chapter 5: The Ancestral Code. If we are these powerful creators, if we are these divine biocomputers, why is it so hard to change? Why do we feel stuck in the same emotional loops year after year? Why do you feel a fear of abandonment that makes no sense? Why do you have a scarcity mindset even when you have money? Why do you feel unworthy of love? You might think these are your personality traits. You might think, this is just who I am. But what if I told you that those feelings don't belong to you? This is the science of epigenetics. Scientists used to believe that genes were destiny. If your father had a bad temper, you would have a bad temper. But epigenetics has shown that while the gene is the hardware, the environment and perception are the software that tells the gene what to do. But here is the scary part. This software can be inherited. In a famous study, researchers took a group of mice and exposed them to the scent of cherry blossoms. At the same time, they gave the mice a mild electric shock. Very quickly, the mice learned to fear the smell of cherry blossoms. But then, the mice had babies. The researchers looked at the children. These baby mice had never been shocked. They had never met their parents. But the moment they smelled cherry blossoms, they became terrified. They shook with fear. Then the grandchildren were born. Same thing. The trauma was passed down, encoded in the biological switch of the DNA. Now look at your life. The anxiety you feel in your chest, that might be your grandmother's anxiety from living through a war. The fear of speaking your truth, that might be your grandfather's fear of being punished by an oppressive regime. You are walking around carrying the unhealed ghosts of thousands of ancestors in your blood. This is what the East calls karma. Karma is not a punishment system from a man in the sky. Karma is simply unresolved data. It is a loop of trauma that keeps playing in the genetic code until someone wakes up and stops it. This is why being the chosen one is so heavy. You didn't just come here to have a nice vacation. You came here to be the cycle breaker. You were chosen by your lineage, by the souls of your ancestors, to be the one strong enough to face the darkness and dissolve it. When you heal yourself, when you reprogram your subconscious, you are not just saving yourself. You are sending a ripple backward in time. You are liberating your entire family tree. You are rewriting the code that has held your bloodline in the matrix for centuries. It is a burden, yes. It feels unfair that you have to do the shadow work while others sleep. But remember, the virus must be isolated before it can be deleted. You are the antivirus. You are feeling the pain so intensely because you are the one processing it for deletion. So how do we do it? How do we rewrite a code that is written in our very blood? We have to go into the operating system. We have to enter the subconscious mind. And to do that, we have to look into the mirror. Chapter 6: The Mirror. We have talked about DNA. We have talked about quantum physics. Now we must talk about the machine that runs your life. Neuroscientists tell us that the conscious mind, the part of you that is listening to me right now, the part that says, I want to be rich or I want to be happy, runs only about 5% of your day. The other 95%, that is run by the subconscious mind. The subconscious is an automated tape player. It records everything you experienced between the ages of 0 and 7. Every time your parents fought, every time a teacher told you to be quiet, every time you felt unsafe, it was recorded. And now, as an adult, you are playing back those same tapes on a loop. You think you are choosing your partner. You think you are choosing your job. You think you are choosing your reactions. You are not. You are reenacting a script written by a frightened child 30 years ago. This is why you feel stuck in the matrix. You are trying to change your life using only your conscious mind, that tiny 5%, while the massive 95% is running a program of fear and limitation in the background. It is like trying to steer a cruise ship with a spoon. But here is the secret mechanism that the chosen ones eventually discover: the reality mirror. The world outside of you is not solid ground. It is a mirror. If you wake up in the morning, look in the bathroom mirror and see that your hair is messy, what do? Do you reach out and try to comb the reflection's hair? Do you yell at the glass? Do you try to change the mirror? Of course not. That would be insanity. You know that the only way to change the reflection is to change yourself. Yet this is exactly how most people live their lives. They look at their bank account, the reflection, and they panic. They look at their toxic relationship, the reflection, and they try to force the other person to change. They are fighting the mirror. And because the universe is a feedback loop, the more they fight the reflection, the more the reflection fights back. If you scream at a mirror, the reflection screams back. You must understand, the world is not happening to you, it is happening from you. If you believe deep down, in that dark 95% of your mind, that people are untrustworthy, the matrix will scan its infinite database of possibilities and render untrustworthy people into your life. It has to. It must match your frequency. If you believe, I am not enough, the matrix will give you opportunities to fail, just to prove you right. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are a victim of your programming. And the world is simply showing you, with brutal honesty, what code is currently running in your system. So, stop breaking the mirror. Stop blaming the NPCs in your life. Look inward. The glitch is in the software, not the screen. Chapter 7. The Shadow. The Dark Night of the Soul. This brings us to the most painful chapter of the awakening process. The chapter that no one wants to talk about, but every chosen one must endure. The dark night of the soul. When you start to unplug from the matrix, when you start to withdraw your energy from the old illusions, something terrifying happens. Your life falls apart. You might lose your job. Your long-term relationship might end abruptly. Your friends, people you have known for years, suddenly feel like strangers. You try to talk to them, but it feels like you are speaking a different language. They look at you like you are crazy. You feel isolated. You feel an emptiness so deep it hurts physically. You feel like you are dying. And in a way, you are. The ego, the false identity, The avatar you created to survive in the Matrix is dying, and it is fighting for its life. It is screaming, go back to sleep. It was safer there. This is not depression. Clinical depression is a chemical imbalance. The dark night of the soul is a spiritual detox. Imagine you have been eating poison for 20 years. Finally, you stop eating it. Your body begins to purge the toxins. You will feel sick. You will vomit. You will shake. Not because you are getting worse, but because you are getting clean. During this time, you will be forced to face your shadow. Carl Jung, the great psychologist, said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." The shadow is everything you have rejected about yourself. Your anger, your jealousy, your shame, your hidden desires. The Matrix told you these things were bad, so you shoved them into the basement of your subconscious. But they didn't disappear. They turned into monsters, and now they are coming up for air. The Chosen One does not run from the shadow. The Chosen One invites the shadow to tea. You must look at your pain and say, "I see you. I acknowledge you. You are a part of me." Those villains in your life, the boss who bullies you, the ex who cheated on you, they are not your enemies. In the game of the Matrix, they are your dark teachers. They are playing a role to push you into awakening. So if you are in the dark night right now, if you are alone in your room crying as you listen to this, hear me. You are not failing. You are in the chrysalis. The caterpillar has to dissolve completely into a soup of cells before it can restructure itself into a butterfly. It is a violent process. It is a lonely process, but it is the only way to get your wings. Hold on. The dawn is coming. Chapter 8. The Rewrite. Law of Assumption. How do we emerge from the darkness? How do we build the new avatar? For years, the New Age community sold us the law of attraction. They told us to make vision boards, to wish for things, to vibrate high. But many of you tried that, and it didn't work. Why? Because the law of attraction is incomplete. It is often based on separation. I am here, and the thing I want is over there. I need to attract it. The universe does not give you what you want. Wanting implies lack. If you say, "I want money," you are telling the Matrix, "I do not have money." And the Matrix says, "Copy that," and gives you more experience of not having money. The higher truth, the code that the chosen ones use, is the law of assumption. This was taught by the mystic Neville Goddard. The principle is simple but radical. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. To change the simulation, you must assume the feeling of the wish already fulfilled. You must deny the evidence of your senses. Your bank account says $10. Your senses say, "I am poor." But the programmer in you must override that code. You must close your eyes, go into your imagination, and feel the reality of wealth so intensely that your subconscious mind cannot tell the difference. This is not fake it till you make it. This is identity shifting. You have to change your I am command. Every time you say I am, you are writing code. I am tired, code accepted. I am unlucky, code accepted. I am lonely, code accepted. You have been cursing yourself with your own tongue. The awakening requires you to become a guardian of your I am. You must start saying and feeling the new truth before it appears in the 3D world. I am powerful. I am the architect of my life. I am divine love. When you assume a new identity, the old script has to burn. The old actors in your life, the ones who only knew the victim version of you, will either have to adjust to your new frequency or they will exit your reality. This is the cost of the upgrade. You will lose people. You will lose comfortable situations, but you are trading a cage for the sky. This is the rewrite. You are crossing out the lines of the tragedy you were handed at birth, and you are writing an epic of triumph. But knowing this is not enough. You can read every book on the shelf, but if you don't do the work, you are just a spiritual tourist. We need a tool, a hack, a way to bypass the critical firewall of the conscious mind and write this new I am code directly into the mainframe. And luckily, nature has given us a back door, a specific time of day when the guard is asleep and the vault is open. Chapter 9. The Hack, Sleep Hypnosis and Coherence. So how do we perform surgery on the subconscious mind without triggering its defenses? How do we rewrite the code of a lifetime in just a few weeks? We use the back door. There is a specific window of time, about 15 to 30 minutes, right before you fall asleep, that is the most magical time of your day. Science calls it the hypnagogic state. It is that floaty, drift-like sensation where your conscious mind begins to shut down, but you are not yet asleep. Your brain waves slow down from beta to alpha and then dip into theta. Remember theta? That is the download frequency. That is the programming mode. Most people waste this precious window. They scroll on their phones, reading bad news or looking at other people's perfect lives. They fill their minds with anxiety and lack right before they drift off, and then they wonder why they wake up tired and uninspired. They effectively marinated their subconscious in poison for 8 hours. The chosen one does not do this. Here is the hack: sleep hypnosis. Tonight, when you lay your head on the pillow, put your phone away. Close your eyes, and instead of replaying the worries of the day, I want you to start running the new code. Repeat your new I am commands. Loop them. I am whole. I am abundant. I am connected to the source. Or better yet, play a guided affirmation track or a 963 Hz audio frequency. Let these sounds wash over you as you drift off. Why does this work? Because the guardian at the gate, your logical, skeptical, conscious mind, is off duty. It cannot reject the new ideas. Your subconscious is wide open, drinking in the instructions like dry earth drinking rain. If you do this every night for 21 days, you will physically rewire the neural pathways in your brain. You will wake up thinking differently, reacting differently, and vibrating differently without even trying. But rewriting the mind is only half the equation. You must also engage the engine. The engine is your heart. Scientists at the HeartMath Institute have discovered that the heart generates an electromagnetic field 5,000 times stronger than the brain. You can think, "I am rich" all day long, brain, but if your heart feels fear and scarcity, the signal fails. The heart is the amplifier. To manifest, you need heart-brain coherence. You need the thought, the electric charge, and the feeling, the magnetic charge, to be in perfect sync. Here is your 24-hour challenge. For the next day, simply observe. Be the watcher behind the eyes. When anger rises, don't say, "I am angry." Say, "I notice anger is present." When fear rises, don't say, "I am scared." Say, "I notice a sensation of fear." Create a gap between you and the emotion. In that gap, you break the loop. In that gap, the matrix loses its grip on you. In that gap, you regain the power to choose a new timeline. Conclusion: the rebirth. We have traveled a long way together in this hour. We started with a glitch, a feeling of not belonging. We journeyed through the illusion of the matrix, the quantum mechanics of the observer, and the hidden power of your DNA. And now you stand at the precipice of a new life. You now know the secret that has been hidden from the masses. You are not the character. You are the writer. You are the director. You are the programmer. The pain you have felt, the loneliness, the trauma, it was not a punishment. It was the fire that burned away the illusion so the truth could be revealed. It was the pressure required to turn a piece of coal into a diamond. The matrix is not a prison to escape. It is a canvas to paint, and you hold the brush. You are the chosen one, not because some external God picked you, but because you chose yourself. You chose to wake up when everyone else was hitting the snooze button. The old world is crumbling. Do not look back at it. Do not try to save it. Build the new one. Shine your light so brightly that the shadows have no choice but to disappear. Now that you have remembered who you are and you have begun to rewrite your code, the universe is preparing to respond. The matrix is shifting for you. But listen closely. In the next few days, you will see signs, synchronicities, numbers repeating. There is a specific frequency of miracles heading your way, but you must know how to receive it without blocking it with old doubts. In the next video, I will reveal the miracle signal. If you hear the message in that video, it means your manifestation is already at your door. It is the final key to unlocking the abundance you deserve. If you are ready to claim your power, if you are ready to sync with your highest timeline, leave a comment below with the words, "I am ready." Declare it to the universe. Declare it to yourself. Click the video on the screen now. The miracle is waiting.